Good morning. Thank you guys for being on. It's another happy Monday morning. Looks like it's a little rainy outside, so we got a little weather today, but that's good. It's springtime. So today we are going to jump right into this and continue our discussion. I'll tell you this is the focus on the fundamentals over the last several weeks has been a lot of fun for me because it's also given me the opportunity to reanalyze how the fundamentals are being run in my own team. And there's been some things that I've been happy with that I've said, hey, awesome, we're really getting good and practicing and staying in touch with this specific fundamental. But I've also noticed some areas that my team could improve and get better at. So this has been really beneficial for me to have these conversations as well. So let's jump into this with a quick review here. Let me share my screen here. And let's go into, we're going to start right here with the fundamentals, the things we've been talking about. So we've been really focusing on the career growth initiative tools. And we have to remember that all of these tools all need to be run together. So far we've talked about the listing management tool, which is the process of putting your goals into the CGI system and working it backwards to know the activities you need to focus on. We've talked about the listings monthly tool, where every month we can recalculate or recalibrate what needs to be done for us to stay on track with our goals. We've talked about Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I popped off there for a minute. Can you see my screen or do you see me?
I see you.
Okay, awesome. I'm flipping back to my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome, thanks, Scott. Okay, so career growth initiative. We've talked through listings management, listings monthly, pipeline report. We've talked about in depth. Last week we talked about the agent trend report, which is your multi-year trend report, where I showed you how to pull that up, look at it, analyze your trends, and quickly review where you are year to date in relation to your numbers, and making a game plan to get back on track. So today we're going to talk about these last two tools on the bottom here. Number one is the agent language of real estate, and then also the local expert. Now, the LORE report, you'll hear us talk about the LORE report. One more acronym we have is, we have a billion acronyms in KW, but the LORE report I really enjoy because I know that numbers are the language of business, and then there's a specific language to real estate, which is not necessarily understanding how to, the definitions of the contract and things like that, but the actual language of real estate is where the evidence is showing up in your business. Now, those of you that have been attending my trainings this year, you know that my big word for 2018 is all about evidence and where the evidence is showing up. And I think this is a really critical piece to the story, because the way the consumer is making a decision is much different today than it was several years ago, where it used to just be based off of relationships of I like you, you like me, let's do business together. And now there needs to be this element of evidence behind it of saying, hey, great, we like each other, our personalities are in line, I think we can work well together. Now, where is the evidence that what you're telling me you can do for me has actually been done for someone else? So this is where the language of real estate comes in, because it's not enough just to say, hey, I've helped hundreds of families sell their homes, or I'm going to do better than everybody else, because the truth of the matter is there's 25,000 other agents that are making that same promise. Now, the good news is all those agents cannot perform on that promise, but they're all making that promise. And so this is where it becomes really critical for us to get good at the language of real estate, which you can see here. It says provides evidence of your value by comparing the growth of your business to that of your board, your subdivision, your market center, your region, etc. Now, this is where you have some ability to decide strategically what you want to compare your business against. Now, the two most obvious ones that I recommend obviously are against the market, because you want to be able to clearly identify where you're outpacing the market, and also identify where you're not outpacing the market. That's maybe not necessarily a story you're going to go tell, but it's a story you're going to internalize to say, hey, why is the market outpacing me in this category? And what do I need to change in my business so that I'm actually outpacing the market and the market's not outpacing me? So one, we want to compare ourselves against the market. Number two, I like to get my agents in the habit of comparing themselves and their production against the office, the market center, because it really tells, it's another layer of the story. If we can say, hey, not only is my office outperforming the market by 28% in closed volume, I'm actually, out of those agents, I'm actually outperforming those top agents by another 3%. So I'm actually outperforming the market by 31% in closed volume. So there's two layers there of, one, I'm with the number one office in the county, and number two, out of that office, I'm outperforming the office. So there's another layer of story there, and another layer of validity. So the language of real estate is saying, okay, how do we go analyze that, put together and analyze that data easily? And then the local expert tool is, now how do I go tell that story? Because it does us some good just to put the data together and look at it internally, which we can obviously we can either have validation that what we're doing is working, or we can identify areas that we need to get better. But the real cherry on top of putting this data together is going out and telling the story to your potential clients, that where you're outperforming the market and why you're different than everybody else, and the evidence behind it. Now notice here, I made this suggestion that you compare yourself against the market and against the office, but they also make some suggestions here that you may want to track, specifically like if you're targeting a specific neighborhood, and part of your business strategy is to be the number one agent or outperform all other agents in a specific neighborhood or zip code. So you may want to track numbers for that subdivision or zip code as well, so that you can continue to put together your story of how you're outpacing any other agent in a specific subdivision or neighborhood. So all of that is a possibility. So let me show you real quickly where you go to find the report to do this. So if you go to KW Connect on your homepage, so my KW Connect. Once you're on KW Connect, you'll click on the Career Growth Initiative. And once you click on the Career Growth Initiative, it will bring you to the Career Growth Initiative page that we've visited several times in this series of classes. And on this is obviously where you'll put in your listing appointments completed, view your numbers. You can also come down, and this is where you find all of the CGI tools we've talked about so far. So you can download your listings monthly, pipeline, agent trend, etc. And then you can come down to the agent language of real estate lore, and you can download the lore report. Now, this is a spreadsheet that looks like, let me actually get rid of this one, this. So this is the language of real estate tool that you can use to compare yourself against the market. Now, keep in mind that we do this every month as an office to track our office numbers. And so we have how our office is performing against the market, and you don't have to calculate that. You can just tap into the data we give you at the quarterly market update, where we give not only the statistical evidence, but I also give the scripting around how to go tell that story. Now, this here specifically will help you compare you against the market, and it actually gives you the steps of how to do it. So step one, find the month-over-month changes from your MLS or board of realtors. And you can see it gives two examples, and then the red numbers are the only ones that you need to change. So for example, I've already plugged in the numbers from March from the MLS to come in here and say, okay, well, this month last year, so March of 2017, how many closed units were there? March of 2018, how many closed units were there? and it auto calculates the rest. So the only thing I have to do is plug in the red numbers. And these are the 8 categories that the MREA suggests that you track inside of your business: closed units, closed sales volume, listings taken volume, listings sold volume, contracts written, and contracts written volume. Now keep in mind, we track all of this for you in your multi-year trend report. So this isn't something that you have to create some extravagant spreadsheet to track this for your business. All you have to do is go pull up your multi-year trend report, and those numbers are going to be there. And then these numbers we put together as an office off of the MLS, so you can connect with your office leadership team to pull this data. Unless you're pulling your numbers against a specific subdivision or something like that, then you'll need to put these numbers in yourself. Step 2, find the month-over-month change for your multi-year trend report. So this is where you pull out your multi-year trend report for the same categories and say, okay, and I pulled this for one of our agents, and look, and we go in here and say, okay, in March of 2017, this agent closed 2 units, and actually in March of 2018, she closed 2 units again. Her volume was a little bit different. It went up by $100,000. Listings taken, last year she took 2, this year in March she took 4. Listings taken volume, last year was 684, this year is 809. Listings sold, last year 0, this year 1. You can see, you just go through and put in only the red area, and it auto calculates everything else. Now step 3 is where we start seeing where the story shows up, because this finds the difference between your board and your business, and this auto calculates. This column here is, how does your business compare to the market? So we can go right down this and look and say, okay, for closed units, this agent is outperforming the market by 6% in closed units. In closed sales volume, she's outperforming the market by 27%. Listings taken, she's outperforming the market by 106%. Listings taken volume, she's outperforming the market by 12%. Now listings sold coming in as uncalculable because there's a divisible by 0 there. And so it cannot calculate that. Contracts written, she's outperforming the market by 241%. In contracts written volume, she's outperforming the market by 264%. So part of this, anytime we look at data, and you hear me say this all the time, anytime we see data and the story it tells, we always need to be asking the question, why? So you can see that she did a significant amount more contracts written and contracts written volume than she did a year ago. So she increased her own volume by 200%, which is just, you got to remember, based on the total data. This is such a small sample piece of the overall data in MLS that we got to look at that and say, okay, well, is that a story we want to be telling or not? Because outperforming the market by 241% is a lot. But then it begs the question of, well, how big is the sample size? So we can look at this and see what the story tells. Now, step 4 is, it says compare your business to your board, market center, region, or KWRI, where you can come in and put in your numbers. I don't necessarily love this step of it because it just gives numbers, and what you really need to look at is percentages, because the number of closed units that you're doing compared to your board or the market center is going to look very small in comparison, but it's in actual units, but it's about the percentages of how you're outperforming the market and how you're growing and outpacing the market. So really where we get some clarity is to develop your value statements. Now, the value statements, this is the mistake I see agents make when they start implementing this tool, is they want to tell every single one of these stories. They want to just go down the line and write 8 sentences that match all 8 categories. The key here is we want to look for 2 things. Number 1 is, what are our couple of victories that we really want to hone in on and tell the story about? Because we only have a chance to really plug in 1 or 2 things at most before we start losing people's attention. And then number 2, I want to look at this and say, okay, well, where are my real opportunities? What is the internal lesson that I need to focus on to make myself better? So looking at this agent's business, we can say, hey, there's some good things going on here. Number 1 is my listings game is getting better. Last year at this time, I only took 2 listings. Now I've taken 4. So last year, even though it was a competitive market, was a less competitive market than we have today in getting listings. So I can celebrate here to say, hey, you know what? It's a big deal that I outperformed my own business from a year ago by 100%. So this is something that I think is really significant in this market, to be able to tell a story in the most competitive market we have ever seen, where there's more competition for listings. I'm outperforming the market by 106% in listings taken, meaning more people are finding the value that I bring to the table in listing their home is better than my competitors. So to me, that's a great story that I want to focus on. The other one that I think is really significant is we could tap into the contracts written, written volume, but what I believe is my strategy here is I really want to be able to take more listings. So I want to tell stories around helping me take more listings. Now, if my primary focus here was buyers, then I would be able to really hone in on this contracts written and contracts written volume to meet with buyers and say, hey, I'm consistently writing more offers than anybody else and getting those offers accepted. In fact, I'm outperforming the market by over 200% because I'm hustling so hard to find my people the right properties. So if my focus was buyers, I could lean on that story. However, because I want to be listings focused and know the buyers are easier to come by, I want to talk about closed sales volume here of outperforming the market by 27%. Because if I'm sitting in a listing presentation, this really helps me tell a better story as well, because I can say, hey, what you've just told me is what's most important to you is that we sell your home quickly and for the most money. Now, I can accomplish that goal because one of the things that we're doing better than anybody else, and I've already given her the listings taken outlet, outperforming the market by 106% in listings taken. We're also outperforming the market by 27% in closed sales volume, which means we're selling 27% more real estate than any of our competition, which means we're getting more money for our clients quicker. So those are two statistical evidences. So I'd come down and put those into my develop your value statement and write a script around them of how I'm going to incorporate them into my listing presentations, my conversations, and just get clarity on what is the script of how I'm going to tell this story. And I'd write them in right there. So this is the language of real estate tool. Keep in mind that every month we do this exact same thing as a market center. And this is the sheet we look at a regular basis to say, okay, well, in these same 8 categories, I want to know, how is Keller Williams International doing compared to themselves? How is KW Utah as a region doing as compared to themselves? And how is our specific market center doing? And we do this for every one of our offices against itself. And we can go down and say, okay, well, what if for example, closed units, the agent we just looked at is outperforming the market by 6% in closed units. However, her office is outperforming the market by 24.4% in closed units. So more than likely, in telling that story, she's going to want to lean on the story of her office more than her own statistics, even though her own statistics are good. Same thing, closed volume. She wants to probably lean on the closed volume of the office, 40.7%. Now, listings taken, she's actually outperforming the office in listings taken for March. So she could lean on her own story, but we have all of those stories already put together for the office, and we talk about those specifically in the quarterly market update. Now, for Weber and Davis County, this is happening tomorrow. For Salt Lake County, it's happening in a week from tomorrow. So if you're available, make sure you're plugging into those, because I'll go into more detail. So now that we've analyzed the data and put the data together and looked at what our talking points are, the next step to the equation is, now how do I go out and tell the story? Because the truth is, if I'm not going out and giving the evidence and telling the story, someone else is telling my story. Now, the truth is, if someone else is telling your story, more than likely it's not accurate. So we need to make sure that we're getting the story out there. So one of the best tools to accomplish this is the My Local Expert tool, which is, again, you can download this from the Career Growth Initiative page, and you can grab it in the form of a PowerPoint presentation. And then you can edit it here and create a JPEG or a PDF, which is easily made into a post on your social media, or you can pull it into eEdge to email it out. So let's just walk through this real quick of what this looks like. It says your local expert. The proof is in my numbers. And then again, it's not telling every point, but I generally like to have 3, maybe 4, but generally 2 to 3 big bullet points over here. Now, the thing I like about this tool is if you download it once and upload this information or update this information on the left and put in your picture, your contact information, you can modify this little paragraph to whatever you want. If you save this once, every month, all you got to do is come in here and change the numbers. And if you change the numbers, you're ready to go, and you should be able to do it within 3-4 minutes. And then again, you can go post this on your social media. You can create an email out of it in eEdge to send out to all of your clients and database. You can create a mailer for it if you have a specific subdivision or anything that you're targeting. But it's really easy to come through, and it's really easy to read. 106%, and realistically, if all they do is look at these numbers, they're going to connect the dots that you're a better agent than any other agent out there. So 106%, I'm outpacing the market in listings taken by 106%. I've outpaced the market in closed sales volume by 27%. My office has outperformed the market by 18.23% in closed units. So really easy to put this data in and tell a story. Now, one of the things that I also encourage you do on top of this or in addition to this is people are really responding to video. And so for me, it would be really easy to put this together and send this out, and then right behind it post a video of me talking really quickly and not necessarily saying something around like, hey, look how great I am, but building a script in a way that all I'm doing is giving them dots that they can connect. So an example of this would be, a quick Facebook video that says, hey, this, as many of you know, this is the most competitive market Utah has ever seen, which means there's more agents competing for your business right now than ever. Now, that being said, then you go right into your statistics here saying, yep, my team continues to outpace the market. In March, I outpaced the market by 106% in listings taken. And we consecutively outpaced the market by 27% in sold volume. Now, what does this mean for you? Now, and then you can just go into what this means for them and then do a quick invite to say, if any of you have any inclination to potentially sell your home in this market and want to net the most money the quickest, please reach out to me or personal message me below. And I'll walk you through specifically how we're outpacing the market by such huge numbers, again, in the most competitive market Utah has ever seen. So I really like the video behind it because it's going to get some additional engagement and a direct invitation to reach out to you. So I think it's a combination of the two. Now, every month, this should only take you, if you're leaning on the work the office is doing for you already and putting the stats together, this whole thing should only take you about 5-10 minutes to put together. Maybe it's 3 minutes to hype yourself up for a video, 2 minutes to shoot the video, and you're good to go. Now, this may sound like a lot on top of everything else we have going. However, you have to remember that the truth is, if you're not telling your story, someone else is. And I'm a big believer, again, that it doesn't matter how long you've been in business this year. What matters most is the agents that are telling their story the best and the most often, they're going to win. They're going to outpace you. So make sure you're the agent that has clarity on what your story is, where is the evidence behind who you say you are, and then go out and tell the story over and over and over again. And then once you do this for the month, that becomes your statistical evidence for the next 30 days. All you do is tell that story over and over and over and over again to make sure that everything you're saying is laced around that. And then at the end of the next month, we do the same thing, put together our stats, look where we're at, look where the victories and opportunities are, and tell the stories around the victories and roll into the next month. And we do this over and over and over again. And that's how we tell the story. We keep it fresh, we keep it exciting because the numbers are new. For example, if I really focused on listings taken last month and really hit that home, then the next month I might talk about listings sold and talk about, hey, remember last month we talked about how we were outpacing the market in listings taken. We continue to outpace the market in listings taken. However, where that money is showing up for our clients is the listings sold, and we're outperforming the market by X. So I let the story build on top of each other as well. So this is the that is the extent of using the language of real estate and the My Local Expert tool. If any of you need further help identifying where to find these tools in the Career Growth Initiative on your MyKW, be sure to lean on your agent services coordinator. Be sure to plug into, if you wanted to do this the easiest way, and for those of you that are newer agents that don't necessarily have the history of statistical evidence, all you need to do is plug into the quarterly market updates, plug into the statistics there, knowing that your office statistics are your statistics. It's very easy to plug into, then go tell the story over and over and over again. So a couple things that we have, let me pull this up real quick to wrap up. The couple things that we have to focus on as we wrap up the fundamentals course over the next several weeks is we're going to be talking about how to run a profit and loss statement. We're going to be talking about the KW app. We're going to be talking about your listing presentation. We're going to be talking about your buyer presentation. So those are the things coming up over the next several weeks. If there's something else that you feel is really critical to have in the fundamentals that you want me to see me put something together on, be sure to send me a message and I'll be happy to do that. So before we wrap up for the day and go tackle our week, are there any questions for me? Okay, awesome, everyone. Make it a phenomenal week. Thanks so much. Proud to be in business with you. Let's go out and get our unfair share of the market because we have value that nobody else has. Go make it a great week. Thank you.